in this next segment of the show, I want to talk, guys, about some of the locations that have been announced so far for the Outlast trials, as well as some of the characters, which at this point in time, guys, we've only gotten a couple of announcements of names for a couple of the characters, which actually the characters are really just enemies at this point. We don't know really much at all about the characters that we're playing as. There's a lot of secrecy behind this game, and so I want to talk about some of the locations as well as the couple of characters that we have gotten announcements at this point in time. So let's get into it. So guys, let's start with the characters. So the characters that we know of at this point in time are Coil as well as Mother Gooseberry. And both of these, I will say, Mother Gooseberry looks absolutely terrifying. Now, Coil is a really interesting character. Part of me is wondering, is Coil kind of like in charge of these trials or kind of in charge of this entire operation? Looks a little bit more like a pretty rough character, but doesn't look as twisted as Mother Gooseberry does or things of that nature. We've seen images, guys, from some of the other characters or enemies, I should say, within the title. We don't really have names for them at this point in time, but those two have gotten official names right here, right now. And so what I will say, though, between those two, I would say Mother Gooseberry definitely looks really terrifying. I'm excited to learn more about both of these characters, but those are the only two that we've gotten at this point in time about, the different characters. Now, some of the locations, though, on the flip side, that we've gotten a little bit more. There is the Sunshine Orphanage, which you can see here at the top of that upper floor is where Mother Gooseberry looks to be standing, actually. I would say it's probably Mother Gooseberry. There's been a lot of talk about it on the Outlast wiki page, and so I believe that that's Mother Gooseberry standing at the top there. There's going to be an amusement park, which looks pretty interesting. Doesn't, some of these have the Outlast feel to them, but some of them also kind of feel like they're not quite in the Outlast, world. But that being said, it's going to be interesting. I mean, you definitely have, the vibes with some of these images of Outlast, but then some of them don't look as much like the traditional Outlast areas and locations, which I'm totally fine with. Then you've got the underground streets. This looks like a pretty interesting one. You see a grocery store. This is going to be one I'm wondering if you're going to be running through these streets. But I will say it's pretty well, it seems like it's relatively well lit. Everything, though, at the end of the day, guys, looks like it's going to be primarily at nighttime. And then you've got the doll workshop. That's probably the most terrifying one, at least at this point in time, that we've seen. That one does look pretty creepy, to say the least. There's also a makeshift church, and then there is also an infirmary, which both of these look pretty creepy as well. I mean, what is Outlast without having a church, guys? Obviously, I think this is going to be where we're going to see some pretty gruesome things, and I think the infirmary, we're going to be seeing some pretty crazy stuff there as well. So at the end of the day, these images and such, I mean, everything looks great at this point. I absolutely love what we see so far from, the title. But this actually, the locations, at least at this point, I mean, they give us those Outlast vibes, but it looks a little bit, not quite as gritty or dark as maybe Outlast 2 was. But at the end of the day, guys, we're going to have to wait and see, because we got, some of these, the gameplay trailer, that looks terrifying. I mean, while you're running, the graphics, though, look fantastic, guys. I am incredibly excited about this. And we're going to have to wait till we get our hands on it, because right now it may not feel or seem like it's going to be that true Outlast title that you're thinking about. Even though, guys, this is in the Outlast universe. It's called the Outlast Trials. This isn't Outlast 3. This is the Outlast Trials. And so this is going to be really interesting how this ties into the entire story as a whole. Overall, though, guys, from what we've seen so far, the characters, I'm really glad that there's been a lot of secrecy behind this title. Red Barrels has kept a lot under wraps. They don't want to give out too much information. And so we've seen some of the locations and such. And overall, it looks great. I mean, it looks awesome. I feel, though, that a lot of the locations, they're kind of keeping from us because they want that sheer terror to come when you actually organically start playing the game. They're showing like those light maps right now, the maps that don't seem too scary or whatever the case may be, nicely lit in a couple of these, like the underground streets and such. But once you get into those narrow corridors and into the game, there, I think we're going to be, they want to scare us once again. It's going to be pretty awesome, guys. But that being said, what do you guys think about some of the characters that have been announced, that being like Coil as well as Mother Gooseberry? What do you think about some of these locations as well? Let me know in the comment section down below. And for more The Outlast Trials content and videos, stay here with Zero TV.